Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Very bold, beautiful kirtan. Beautiful kirtan.
You two are quite a combination. Sean's getting really good at the Madanga also. Wow. Blew me away. Blew me up to Krishna. Do you have the book there? You
Yes,
want to start things off philosophically? And last week we had a more freewheeling discussion where people just jumped in. So, of course, you don't want to interrupt anyone in mid-sentence, but if you feel that someone has reached a pause, a gap in their comments and all, just go ahead and add to what they're saying, amplify their point, jump in. Don't feel like, I have to call on you. I will if you're silent, but just make it kind of free flowing as much as you're comfortable with. But we'll start the flow with Kapilji. Jai-ho.
I'm taking minutes of the meeting, and the winner will be announced at the end.
we are studying the second chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam today.
I hope we're on the second verse, second chapter, first canto. I think we can skip over the first verse or just mention it briefly.
Sure. The chapter is Divinity and Divine Service. The first verse is Vyasavacha iti samprashna sahasta vipranam roma harshinam pratipujya vacha tesham pravaktum upachame. Sri Vyasavacha. Ugrashava Sut Goswami, the son of Romharshna, being fully satisfied by the perfect questions of Brahmanas, thanked them and thus attempted to reply. Purport. The sages of Nimisharna asked Sut Goswami 6 questions, and so he is answering them one by one. Text 1.2.2 Yam pravajatam anupatem upeta kratyam devapayano virahatakar ajuhava putreti tanmata tarovi vivnedu nedu tam sarvabhutam hridam muniman tosva asmi. Srila Sut Goswami said, "Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the great sages Shukdev Goswami, who can enter the hearts of all. When he went away to take up the renounced order of life, sannyasa, leaving home without undergoing reformation by the sacred thread or the ceremonies observed by the higher caste, his father Vyasdeva, fearing separation from him, cried out, 'O my son, indeed only the trees which were absorbed in the same feeling of separation, echoed in response to the bereaved father. Purport: the institution of Varna and Ashrama prescribed many regulative duties to be observed by its followers. Such duties enjoin that a candidate willing to study the Vedas must approach a bona fide spiritual master and request acceptance as his disciple. The sacred thread is sign of those who are competent to study the Vedas from the Acharya or the bona fide spiritual master. Sukdev Goswami didn't undergo such purificatory ceremonies because he was a liberated soul from his very birth. Generally, a man is born as an ordinary being, and by purificatory process, he is born for the second time. When he sees a new light and seeks direction from his spiritual progress, he approaches a spiritual master for instructions in the Vedas. The spiritual master accepts only the sincere inquirer as his disciple and gives them the sacred thread. In this way, a man becomes a twice born or Dvija. After qualifying as a Dvija, one may study the Vedas, and after becoming well versed in the Vedas, one becomes a Vipra. A Vipra or a qualified Brahmana thus realizes the absolute and makes further progress in his spiritual life until he reaches the Vaishnava stage. The Vaishnava stage is the postgraduate status of a Brahman. A progressive Brahman must necessarily become a Vaishnava. For a Vaishnava, it is a self-realized learned Brahmana. Srila Sukdev Goswami was a Vaishnav from the beginning. Therefore, there was no need for him to undergo all processes of Varnashrama institution. Ultimately, the aim of Varnashrama Dharma is to turn a crude man into a pure devotee of the Lord or a Vaishnava. Anyone, therefore, who become a Vaishnava accepted by the first class Vaishnava or Uttam Adhikari Vaishnava is already considered a Brahman. Regardless of his birth due to his past deeds, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted his principle and recognized Srila Haridas Thakur as the Acharya of the holy name. Although Thakur Haridas appeared in a Mohammedan family, in conclusion, Srila Sukdev Goswami was born a Vaishnav, and therefore Brahmanism was included in him. He did not have to undergo any ceremonies. Any low-born person, be a Krita, Huna, Andhra, Pulinda, Pulaksha, Abhira, Shumbh, Yavana, Khas, or even lower, can be delivered to the highest transcendental position by the mercy of Vaishnavas. Srila Sukdev Goswami was the instructing spiritual master of Sud Goswami, who therefore offers his respectful obeisances onto Srila Sukdev Goswami before he begins his answers to question of the sages of Naimisharanya.
Jai, thoughts, comments?
But I think it's a very good transition. Last week we discussed that sages. So just to set the context, when we were reading the first chapter, the sages who were assembled in Naimisharanya, Sonakadi Rishi, they asked 6 questions. The last question that we discussed last week was, where does Dharma is going to reside after the departure of Sri Lord Krishna? So now Sud Goswami, first he's thanking everyone for the questions. So normally when you go for a public speaking class or a leadership class, they say that you start your message, you don't need to thank them, they should thank you. But I think it's highlighting the true humility, because these are the questions that are for the benefit for the entire mankind. So those 6 questions that were asked were, what is the first one was, what is the ultimate benefit for the mankind? The second question was, what is the essence of all scriptures? Why did Lord Shri Krishna appear in the womb of Mother Devaki? The fourth one was, describe the wonderful deeds of Lord Shri Krishna when he assumed various forms of Rudra and Brahma for creating, maintaining, and destroying. The fifth one was, describe the difference of the various incarnations. And the sixth question that we discussed the last week was, where did religious principles going to reside? So today, I think that in the last chapter, we did discuss the importance, and this is, I think, one of the core of our philosophy, the importance of Guru. There is no progress without a Guru. And that's what highlighted in the second verse, especially in the purport by Srila Prabhupada, when he talked about the initiation ceremony. And he said that it's not like you are transitioning, it's basically the beginning. There's the word itself highlights that it's the initiation, and then very nicely talks about the concept of Dvija to Vipra to Vaishnava, when it says that the true devotee already qualifies. And I think that the example was Sud Goswami, is that he doesn't have to, or Shukdev Goswami, is that he doesn't have to go through all the varnashram transitions. So that's my understanding of this verse.
Very nice. I was thinking this morning with a Zoom call with the Tampa congregational devotees. I was thinking that I had to thank them, and my reasoning was this way. If I heard it said, and I believe it's true, that if you ask a Vaishnava to speak, answer questions, and explain Bhagavad Dharma, Krishna consciousness, they get as happy as a materialist would get if you just offered them $5,000. So, so I thank them. Yeah, I thank them for the opportunity. And believe me, when you're 74 years old, preaching is the only pleasure that's left to you. Even prasadam just doesn't taste quite as intense as it used to 40 years ago. So, yeah, I think it's a good practice, and you all will also get many opportunities. You're getting good. Every one of you is getting better and better at communicating. So, yeah, let's make a pact. Let's make a covenant that whenever any other congregations or devotees, or even visitors that drop in off the freeway, they say, "Can I ask a question?" And I say, "You bet you can." and I have a big smile. I say, you can either ask a question or give me $5,000. You pick. So yeah, good point. Yeah, I mean, in the materialistic world, it may be true that the speaker thinks, yeah, they should thank me. I've got what they need. They have to go through me. I am the way, the truth, the light. But we're humble servants. We're just, when we speak, it's not about us. It's about our Guru, and it's about Krishna. And so we get very appreciative and very grateful for the opportunity.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Amazing point. The only thing on the prasadam, the last evening, the kheer was out of world. So thank you so much to Rasilas Prabhu. Prabhu, Hari Bol.
Where was the kheer? I didn't get any kheer.
Oh.
Prabhuji.
Prabhu, why didn't you save me some kheer?
I kept for you, but you were talking. You were too engrossed.
I got sweeter kheer by preaching.
Preaching.
Yeah, I thought that was more sweet than the material.
Sweeter kheer of preaching.
Prabhuji, kheer last night.
I saw raw milk in the refrigerator, and I know that raw milk belongs to Govind Bhakta Prabhu. And I didn't tell him. I just softly stole it and made kheer out of it. Because I knew if I'm going to ask him, he's going to say, no, this is for different thing, I know. For all good reasons, I know. So I made it. But he was happy. He was very happy. He said, oh.
So Krishna's not the only kheer chore.
The only thing is was kheer chore, makhan.
It seems like Krishna's a bad influence on you, Ras Vilas.
Which is a positive sign, Prabhu.
Prabhu, I can see Govinda Bhakta Prabhu last evening. Similar to this verse, in the last word, it says that only the trees which were absorbed in the same feeling of separation, we can see the same feeling in the trees nearby.
What are you munching on now, Ras Vilas? We're all curious.
I'm squash from your garden.
Ah, nice.
Then
Nice.
sweet potato sabji, nice sabji. So
Okay, I'll be there in 30 minutes.
Please come from
Yeah.
here.
yeah, seriously, if you are in Salt Lake City, please stop by.
Okay, okay. So why don't we ask your good wife to make some serious comments, and then you can jump in with comic relief. How's that?
See, Prabhu, humor is one of the rasas, and I'm trying to fulfill that commitment.
You've never let us down in that area before.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite verses, and I love to sing this verse. And there are many, many beautiful points, but I'll just share a couple. So Sutta Goswami is invoking the remembrance of Shukdev Goswami, his spiritual master, but he says Shukdev Goswami can enter into the hearts of every living entity if you remember him. Even he entered into the hearts of the trees so that they could echo in response to Vyasadev's call for his son. So Sutta Goswami is in that mood that, please, you entered into the hearts of the trees, so please enter into my heart so I can speak Srimad Bhagavatam to these sages who are so interested in hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. And it's been my personal experience. The Mangalacharan prayers that we say at the beginning of any lecture or talk, that's my only strength when I'm giving a talk. And even if any question, whether it's the Friday Home program or anybody asks me any question, if I don't remember Srila Prabhupada, I mess it up. I always mess it up. I have to be serious about remembering Prabhupada. Otherwise, I can never satisfy the hearts of the persons who are asking the question. And whenever they come back to me saying, we were very happy with the answers, I say, it's not me. It's 100% not me, because I've seen it over and over again that if I don't remember Srila Prabhupada, and if I'm trying to answer even the so-called basic questions, my answers don't make the listener happy. So we have to always invoke the grace of these devotees. Otherwise, what is our position to speak transcendental knowledge when we are sitting in the, composed of, material modes and our, we cannot perfectly pass on the message until unless we go through the medium of Srila Prabhupada and the other acharyas.
It says that the Son is the reincarnation of the Father. The Father expands himself and he becomes the Son. So the Son is the Father and the Father is the Son through the wife. The wife provides the body of the Son, but then the Son is an incarnation in the sense of the Father. So one Vaishnava Acharya prayed, he said, the mercy of my Guru is what I'm made of. That's who I am. And when we consider what our lives would have been like had we not intersected with Prabhupada, it's unthinkable. I mean, in my case, it's just, I don't even want to go there because it's just unthinkable. And where we are now is it's glorious, not because of ourselves, but just because we've hooked our chariots to Prabhupada's chariot, whose chariot is hooked to Bhaktisiddhanta, all the way back to Krishna. We've plugged into the source of all knowledge, all light, all peace, all joy through Srila Prabhupada. And there isn't, I mean, maybe you want to share your own experience, but there's nothing. 95% of my day, it's all it is cooking according to, how I've learned in Prabhupada society, speaking, how I've learned in Prabhupada society, greeting guests, how I've learned in Prabhupada society, doing deity worship, how I've learned it. That's what I am. I am aspiring at least to be a good son of the Father. And eventually when the Father leaves, the Son has to accept the role of the Father. And that's what the Father wants. The Father's training up the child to become a father in themselves. So we're all Prabhupada's children, but now Prabhupada's passed on to the spiritual world, and we're, at least I am, on the verge. And so we need to have our own children also, people that we pass on what Prabhupada gave to us. That's our duty.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
There were volumes in that. That was, there was so much in there. That was just like so enlightening. It really was. You know, I used to have a friend named Pranjivan from Los Angeles. He passed away many years. I don't think any of you knew him, and it's hard to describe him because he was a pure devotee. He's initiated by Lokanath Maharaj. Everybody loved Pranjivan, from the small children to the old people. And if there were people that were envious of Krishna consciousness, he would go and preach, talk to them and make friends with them. He didn't discriminate. And the thing about Pranjivan is, he would always say, do you have 5 minutes for Gita? You know, anywhere, in a park, at the hot springs, in the temple, in his home. He would always say, do you have 5 minutes for Bhagavad Gita? So you sit down, you open the Gita, and you say, as the embodied soul continually passes from youth to old age, similarly the soul passes to another. Aha, And he never even said a word, but his sounds were so, it was like he was hearing it for the first. How many times have we heard that verse? But with Pranjivan, it was always like he was hearing it for the first time. And without saying a word, people would come and join the class. The 5-minute class would end up being a half an hour class, a 45-minute class, an hour class. And Pranjivan would just fuel the class. Like every word that came out of your mouth was just absolutely dazzling and brilliant. So you reminded me of him.
What I wanted to share, Prabhu, is in this verse that word Dvija is important. Twice born, and we cannot be twice born unless we are humble and we have this attitude of surrendering. I was listening this morning His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj lecture, and he was giving example of Hanuman. Today is like Dasera, half Dasera, like today and tomorrow. And look at his, Hanuman, he could have, he burned single-handedly the whole Lanka almost. He could have, defeated Ravana. And then always, if you watch the old Ram Leela from Ramanand Sagar, always you will hear Hanuman saying, Jai Shri Ram, always. And it's all Sri Ram's mercy. So he never took credit. And that's where the humble attitude we should all have. And that's where the Dvija started. The Dharma, Varna Ashram is important, but it's not easy to follow for us, right? So that's why Srila Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada, they have given us such a very simple process where you can just chant and then be happy. And then in this verse, this is important about the Uttam Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, and Kaniska Adhikari. So what should be our attitude? And oftentimes we see that, Uttam Adhikari, and then you get scared actually, it's like advanced devotee, and Madhyam Adhikari. And I was listening to one lecture yesterday, and what says the attitude, when you meet Uttam Adhikari, the attitude of Madhyam or other devotees should be to serve Uttam Adhikari. And then if you find Madhyam Adhikari, or you find somebody of your level, then you should form friendship. And then if you find somebody who is starting, then you should be compassionate. And that should be our attitude, if we really want to advance in Krishna consciousness.
Exactly. I was reading a story of the Brahmins who are doing sacrifices to whom the Gopas went to ask for food. They were so enamored with their stature and their expertise in chanting mantras. They were enjoying being paid to do sacrifices, and they were doing the karma kanda sacrifices so that they could be elevated to the heavenly planets. And in fact, in one sense, you could see that, you could interpret that the boys coming to ask for food would have been the reward. Actually, it would have been the reward and the opportunity for them to have made their birth, their training, their knowledge, everything successful by having the opportunity to serve Krishna. It's such a rare thing that happened. They were personally asked to spare some of the ingredients for sacrifice. And if you listen to the mantras, Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Param Sadapasanti, they're all chanting mantras to Vishnu, but they had such a huge disconnect that they didn't even listen to the boys. They just shooed them away, treated them as a nuisance and an annoyance. So they were twice born, but only in name, because they really didn't know what the whole purpose of being twice born was, which is to serve Krishna. Atab Pumbir Dvija, we find that word Dvija also earlier on in the first canto. Atab Pumbir Dvija Shrestha Varnashrama Vibhagasha Swanustitasya Dharmasya Samsiddhir Hari Tosanam. Tosanam means satisfaction, and Hari is Krishna. So Varnashram, Swanustitasya, the whole purpose of anything, as a Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, whatever your duties are, the whole purpose is to satisfy Vishnu. And if you don't satisfy Vishnu, then what's the use of your being twice born?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, from this verse, Prabhu, the most important thing I find is, as devotees, as a group of devotees, I think we should be caring for each other. We should move as a herd, not as individuals. Sometimes I have seen this tendency, sometimes you just observe, right? That, okay, oh, my sadhana, I'm doing good. I'm advancing in, devotional service, so I am advanced devotee or I'm something, but sometimes that is puzzling to me. Devotion means you move forward, right? With everybody else, you take along, like as you are doing, and that attitude, makes everybody connected and makes the whole congregation actually synergistic in every effort. Then you don't have any challenges. How we can have some work done? How can we support each other? And how can we run the whole temple? When the synergy comes, then there are no problems.
It says the effect of connecting with a bona fide spiritual master is that a crude man becomes cultured. Even Hanuman, a monkey called Vanara, dweller of the forest, by virtue of his service to Ram, he spoke wonderful philosophy. The verses and statements of Hanuman are full of wisdom, intellectualism, knowledge, and devotion. So the contact of the Lord is such that you can it's like putting an iron rod. You put an iron rod in fire, it cannot in itself ignite, but you leave it in fire long enough and it becomes red hot. So even Hanuman, who didn't have the highest birth in the material estimation, he achieved the highest level of devotion because he completely opened up himself to the Lord. That popular, I don't know how bona fide it is, to be honest with you. maybe so, but that popular picture of Hanuman, he's
showing Sita, yeah,
opening his heart up, and right there in the middle of his heart, seated as on a throne, are Sita and Ram. So we need to have that same, at least, aspiration to have Ram be they say we don't want God to be the resident of our heart, we want him to be the president of our heart. The example specifically was as alchemy turns base metal into gold, similarly contact with a purified representative of the Lord can transform even a low-born person into more than a Brahmin. Now, let me challenge you. How many verses are there that you can think of or recall, either in Sanskrit or just in English, that talk about how it doesn't matter, even if you're And of course, we have the example of Haridas Thakur right here in front of us. How many verses can you think of, or context you can think of, where it really doesn't matter, or where someone is lowborn is actually accepted as a guru? Go.
So that is there, no? Kipa Vipra, Kipa Nyasi,
Sudra
Sudra
Kani Haya.
Kani,
Say Krishna Tatvideti, say Guru. Yeah. What's a translation?
It doesn't matter if one is a Brahmana or a Shudra or a Vaishya. If he understands the science of Krishna consciousness, then he's fit to be a guru. Otherwise, you can be a Brahmana. There's another verse, I don't know the Sanskrit, but English is, it doesn't matter if you're a Brahmana, but you have not understood the devotional service to Krishna, then you cannot even save yourself, leave alone saving others.
Right. Kiba Vipra Kavyasi Sudra Kani, say Krishna Tatvideti, say Guru Hayas one. Sat Karma Nipuno Mitra, Mantra Tanta Vaishnava Guru, Vaishnava Shapacha Guru. Yeah, a caste conscious Brahmin, he can't even save himself. What to speak of saving others? That's a wonderful point.
Yeah.
What other verses? Yeah.
There is another one by Mother Devhuti who says, one who is chanting, on whose tongue your name has appeared, he is fit to perform. He has already performed all sacrifices, followed all vratas, taken bath at holy places, because he's chanting your name.
Nice. Rishabh has a good one too, I think. No, is it Rishabh? Yeah. I think it's Kapil. I think it's in 3rd canto.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody know that one or any other one? Aho bata shapacho yogariyan yastivarga vargate namatudyam te pus te juhuvu shnashnareria brahmanacho namagrinati yete.
Yeah, this is what Mother Devhuti says to Kapil Muni.
Oh, that's the verse you were trying to think of. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
that's the one.
How about from Bhagavad Gita?
Bhagavad Gita. I mean, when
Ami Partha Vyapishta Yepishu Striya Yonya Striya Sudra Sata Vaishno Yepi Yanti Param Gatim.
Yes.
And that is where Vidya Vinaya Sampanna.
That's a symptom. Yeah, that's a symptom of a self-realized soul.
There is this incident in Narottam Das Thakur's life where after he initiates Ganga Narayan Chakravarti, who is a famous Brahmana, all the Brahmanas get very mad and they complain to the king that, he's going to spoil our Vedic dharma. He being, he's not a Brahmana, he's some Shudra, and he's initiating, a Brahmana, and they get the king. And the king, he knows the nature of Narottam Das Thakur, but to solve the puzzle, they all travel to Kheturi, Bangladesh.
Kheturi, Bangladesh.
And then Ganga Narayan Chakravarti and Ramachandra Khan, what they do is they dress as potters and betel leaf sellers because they know Narottam Das Thakur is not interested in debating with these Brahmanas who are just caste conscious. And so what they do is they dress up like ordinary village people. And when these Brahmanas come to buy their purchases, they start talking in Sanskrit. And they start engaging with them in philosophy. And these Brahmanas get scared. If the villagers are like that, we can only imagine what is Narottam Das Thakur, But the leader is very adamant. He's like, you fools, come with me, I will argue with them. And then they have this philosophical debate where again, the Brahmana leader quotes the glories of Brahmanas from the Shastras. And then Ganga Narayan Chakravarti quotes the glories of Vaishnavas from the Shastras. And finally, they all agree that, it doesn't matter what caste, creed, or gender you are from. But once you are touched by the grace of Krishna and his devotees, you are worshipable by everyone, including the Brahmanas.
Wonderful story. Wonderful story.
Yeah.
Prabhupada was at Uppsala University explaining the duties of a Brahmin, Samodamo, the duties of a Kshatriya, the duties of a Vaishya, the duties of a Sudra. And he said Brahman's first-class man, Kshatriya, warrior, administrator, second-class man, commercial man is third-class man, and Sudra's fourth-class man. And then from the audience during the question period, someone asked, well, what class are you? Fully expecting Prabhupada to say, we are Brahmins, we are first-class men. But Prabhupada said, we are fifth-class men because we are serving all the other classes. And Krishna, I was just reading a verse. Yat seva charana padma paviturenum sadya sakala malam pratilabda vipra nasya varaktam apimam vijahatya prakshala itere niyamam vahanti. It doesn't matter what his birth or background was. It says if he's a servant, if he's serving the Lord according to the instructions of his guru and his guru, Krishna, God says the dust of such a person is sacred. And he goes on to say that because I serve the dust of the lotus feet of my devotees, I have become so attracted that the goddess of fortune, whom other people worship to get her temporary attention, cannot leave my feet for a moment.
Yes.
Krishna not saying, I'm so good looking, I'm so attractive, I'm so opulent. Krishna is estimating that all of his good qualities come from the dust, from the lotus feet of his devotees. And Krishna he's not before he takes the dust or before he worships the dust, he doesn't think, oh, is this a Brahmin or is this a Sudra or is this a Vaishya? That he doesn't even see that. He just sees the service.
There's words in Nectar of Instruction also, right? We should not, just like the Ganges is still pure, even if the water is bubbling, the Vaishnavas are pure. We should not remember their past birth or their past deeds or physical features. We should not look at those with a critical eye. It's an offense.
Exactly. And what's that other verse? One who sees the deity is made of stone or wood, or sees the Vaishnav as an ordinary man.
Person. Yeah.
Has
Narkaya buddhi, hellish mentality.
Hellish mentality. Yeah. So some of this in layman's terms, Govinda Dev, Sundari Priya, just jump in here and in terms of your own down-to-earth realizations.
I have a thought, and I can only do layman's terms, by the way.
Layman's terms are good. We like layman's terms. They're the best.
I just felt like I had accidentally stepped into the PhD version of this Sanga. And now I'm going to get down to 4th or 5th grade if I can. One thing that I noticed pretty early on as a devotee.
PhD means Paramahansa Das. So you are exactly in the right crowd actually. Paramahansa Das. So you are PhD.
And you're perfecting the rasa humor. I will.
This is not coming from me. This exactly came from His Holiness Radha Maharaj. We were standing, Radhikaram Prabhu and myself. He came. He said, "Oh, we all are PhDs," and we were surprised why Maharaj is praising. And he said, "We all are Paramahansa Das."
So this was the thought that I had, that, and I noticed this early on, that it's very, very hard to give a compliment to a devotee because it is always deflected somewhere else. Even if someone has given a wonderful lecture, given a beautiful kirtan, if it was a really beautiful kirtan and you say, I just really was so uplifted by your kirtan, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, it's Krishna's mercy. I mean, and at first I didn't really know how to get that, but I think what I've learned that, and it's really the illustration here of Shuddha Goswami, who's an advanced devotee, but he starts out, the very first thing he does is he gives recognition to someone else. And that really is the character, I think, of a devotee, that recognizing that whatever, all the ability in man comes from Krishna through the spiritual master, there's really no taking credit. So if somebody has cultivated tremendous abilities of preaching or any other way to advance the purposes of Srila Prabhupada, no one ever takes any credit. And it's that very genuine, deep a heartfelt humility that is so moving. I think that stirs my soul more than anything else when you realize that someone really does not feel like they are personally involved, that everything is kind of flowing through them as less of whatever gifts they might have. And so I've sort of given up, trying to compliment. And the irony is, the more advanced, in any other context in life, somebody's more advanced, it means kind of more powerful, more stronger, a little bit of ego expansion going along with that. Here, paradoxically, spiritually advanced means, less inclined to think of yourself as being advanced, less inclined to be taking any credit for anything. So the most spiritually advanced people end up being the ones that are easiest to talk to, because they don't have anything on the line. I mean, I've been really blown away meeting some swamis and finding myself very, very comfortable. Whereas if I were with senior people in government or in education, I tend to kind of wilt a little bit. I don't feel that way around advanced devotees. And I think that's because it is the nature of a Vaishnava just to not think of themselves and to not be ego, the ability to relate.
Two thoughts come to mind. One is that when you everybody should compliment everybody regardless. It's everybody thrives. Everybody would like to know that they've done some good, that they've touched somebody. So don't give up, George. Keep on complimenting. And also another thing is, when someone compliments somebody who's a better kirtan singer, a better pujari, or a better cook, or a better flower maker, or a better whatever, in a sense, and when you think about it, the person's asking for your mercy. That's an area in which most likely they would like to come up higher too. And I think rather than just deflecting it, I think you should recognize that this is in a sense not only a compliment but an appeal to get closer to you, to try to follow in your footsteps and become a better kirtanier, a better speaker, whatever it is that you're good at. I think when someone appreciates how it is that you gave a good talk or gave a good kirtan, I think in many cases that's an indication that they would like to give a better talk. They would like to give a kirtan because they wouldn't recognize that. That wouldn't thrill them if they didn't have that seed in themselves. And so just that word deflection sort of set me off there, because I think that can be an opportunity then to give them more of your association, to unlock for them some of the keys to your success in kirtan and speaking. In essence, there could be in a sense asking for shiksha guru instructions, and deflecting it or just having an aw shucks attitude. In a sense, it could be disappointing to the person who gives the compliment, and then it may discourage them from coming up to you on future occasions. So I would say thank you. That's so nice of you to say that. Everybody needs encouragement. And then take it as an opportunity to brag more about Krishna, to brag about how Krishna gave you this insight or led you to the feet of this expert in this area, or that you had your own personal realization. This could be an appeal as well as a compliment, is what I'm saying.
I just want to echo what George says. I have gone up to sannyasis who've come to the temple and given these just awesome speeches, and I went up and thanked them and what a wonderful speech. And every single time they would say, only by Krishna's mercy. It wasn't me. Krishna was coming through me. Something like that, always, every time. And as a new devotee, that just kind of blew me away. That's humility.
And on the material platform, Prabhu, like for example, Kapil Prabhu appreciated my kheer. I know I'm gonna give him double kheer next time.
And Rohi, on the similar point, Govinda Prabhu, I seemed it to be working 3 weeks ago. Rather than going to this person and saying that, Prabhu, you have done a great job with the lecture, I just told the person that you're looking 20 years younger. And it worked fine. It worked fine on that day.
Very Caru, those are real points. That is a good thing to be mindful of. You don't have to get puffed up by a compliment. Just recognize, why did that person say that? Probably something to do with them.
Why would you go home on a Saturday night and double down on your guitar practice unless somebody said, "Wow, that was a really good kirtan"? I mean, that then you go, and well, that I'm really fired up. I'm gonna practice. In fact, would any of us be doing what we're doing if somebody hadn't, a coach, a parent, a friend, said, "Hey, you're really good at that"? Would we even be on the courses that we're on if it weren't for a compliment? And if that's true, then of course, to get better and better and better, the compliments are good. They're good. But we already know that it's not us, it's Krishna. But the thing is, the more you sharpen your skill, the better you become at it, the more Krishna is happy that he invested that skill in you in the first place. And compliments can be a big part to enthusing devotees to sharpen their skills to the next levels.
Another thing, Pavana Mataji can comment, I think when you appreciate others, I think you are challenging your own ego. So it means you are bringing it down. And that is, I mean, it happens with me many often time. And I appreciate, that means I am kind of bringing my ego down actually, which is good thing. In this time, appreciating others, is not easy actually because of our false ego.
And so many people are, they are very egotistical in this world, unfortunately. So like you say, bringing yourself down to some level where you can appreciate someone and what they've done is important.
Yeah, that sannyasi may kind of shrug and say it's all Krishna's mercy, but because of your compliment, he's going to go right to his quarters and learn a new verse. I tell you that for sure.
Yes, we always look for affirmation, right? Oh, I did this service. How does it have an effect? So if we don't hear, then we're kind of left clueless, where to proceed.
Exactly.
We need that.
Bhakta Caprice is on the Facebook Live, and he wrote in the comments, humility is not thinking less of yourself. Humility is thinking of yourself less. And he attributes that to Amarendra Prabhu. I heard a story about Abraham Lincoln. What a great man. What a great man. One of the funniest, I don't know if I should say this. I'm probably getting too far out there.
Go ahead.
During the debates, one of the guys, I won't mention any names, he said, "Not since Abraham Lincoln has anyone done more for the black people." And then when it came time for the other, he says, "Oh, Abraham Lincoln over here." That was so funny. But anyway, when after he was assassinated, they went through his pockets and they found this newspaper article, and it wasn't recent. It had been written many months, if not a year ago, because Lincoln, was in charge of the Union at the most difficult time ever. And he did the greatest service, but he got nothing but abuse, nothing but criticism, and finally he got shot, So they found in his pocket an old yellowed newspaper article which praised him. which said he has been the rock. He has steered the ship of our nation through dangerous waters and brought it to safety. And like, so even Abraham Lincoln, with all of his vision and all of his confidence and steadfastness, you know, he carried around in his pocket this yellowing newspaper article that had praised him.
Yes.
Yes, I'm reading a comment that unless you get some feedback, you have no idea whether you've actually served the devotees. And sometimes I can say something for myself if I've done a kirtan. If just one person says, I enjoyed your kirtan, then I think, okay, I guess it was okay. Because I'm a little bit neurotic probably. And so I think it's whenever anybody puts themselves on the line like that, there's some anxiety to it. And I think very charitable, provide some encouragement to anyone, really to anyone.
One of our most encouraging devotees is Sundari Priya, and I'd sure like to hear what her thoughts are on the subject. And Sai, I think, is with her. So we're certainly, you know, if you want to weigh in at Sai, we always enjoy what you have to say as well. Are they with us?
Prabhuji, I cannot add on this subject. Forgive me.
Sai Mataji, like silent observer, that is the name of Paramatma. Paramatma is silent observer, observes everything. Okay? So Mata is like that. And silent observer means Paramatma is our best friend also. Never gives, you know, leaves us alone. So
he's telling you to be the best observer that you can be.
I'm an aspiring PhD. How about that?
that is good one.
The Sundari Priya.
Glories to all the devotees assembled here. I
Haribo.
love so much for each one of them, day in and day out. I mean, just you know, looking and you know, I may not have shortcomings in my appreciation, but I do observe that in my heart, and I want to be better in my service because the way Ras Vilas Prabhu makes, just single-handedly he'll come and make all that. Yesterday he arranged all the buffets so nicely. You know, Amrita Sundari Mataji has such a vision for dressing the deities, and you know, she has that vision to please Krishna. So that really attracts me. Kapil Prabhu is always there, you know, trying to help behind the scenes, and you know, he's inspiring other people, inspiring his kids to get connected. And what to say about Govind Dev Prabhu? The morning Mangal Aarti in the temple has become so potent just by doing the Samsarada prayers. And I haven't met Pavna Mataji and Radhe Shyam Prabhu for a while, but you know, they're there when they learn Kirtan, they're so dedicated, and Mataji within single-handedly learned the harmonium amazingly. So, and you know, Caru Prabhu drives all the way 50 miles just to greet us. So all these are living examples. We don't have to go back in the history and see what Hanuman did and what Ram did. I don't understand all that, but I understand what speaks in my heart. It speaks that people do care, people do excel in their service, and they keep doing better and better in the same service. And it inspires me to be a better human being, you know, and I think Vaishnavas are well-rounded people. One time, a British TV reporter asked His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj that he was giving an interview. So he paused to ask us many questions. He paused and say, "Okay, Maharaj, you've been in and you've lived all your life. And what is the one most precious moment in your life?" And Maharaj paused and he looked in that TV reporter's eyes and said, "You know, Steve, just now sitting with you right here, being with you is my most precious moment of my life." And the TV reporter was floored. And it wasn't dramatic or fabricated. It was completely genuine, and both of them were flawed. Like it was like, that is the presence of giving respect to others. And if as Vaishnavas we try to imbibe that teaching, that the person who is right there with you could be your last moment of your life, and we don't know if we're not promised tomorrow. And if we do our best in whatever we are doing currently and be present and be sympathetic in our behavior, and Krishna will help us excel. And Srila Prabhupada taught us that he didn't give up on any of us. As grandchildren, we have so many shortcomings, but he's not giving up on me. He's inspiring me daily. Srila Prabhupada preaching through his words, his examples, and when we think of acharyas and Vaishnavas like Srila Prabhupada, it speaks to the heart. So this verse is very special. So thank you to all the devotees.
Jai.
Prabhuji, you're muted.
Let's see. One of the young Indian professionals, a little bit heavy set. I think he has a bit of a beard. He was helping clean up and all, but he came and sat, and he said, "What mood? What do we have to do to be with Krishna?" And I said, "Well, you have to cry. You have to be so eager that you cry tears for it. That's the price of the ticket to go back home, back to Godhead." But the fact is that the more advanced you become, the more you see Krishna and his devotees. Krishna himself takes the dust of his devotees and considers that that's the source of all of his good qualities. So we're not actually, it's not our main thrust to go to be with Krishna. I mean, of course, it's more like realizing that Krishna is appearing before us in the form of the devotees. And even though, everybody who comes to the temple, everybody who orbits is a devotee, still none of us at our best. We all have areas in which we can improve, and we got to where we are because of other people who mentored us, encouraged us, who noticed our qualities and pointed them out. And so the whole process, if we're to get to Krishna, if we're to get to the spiritual world, it's all about the people that are right in front of you, to your left, to your right, in front of you, and behind you. It's, as I think it was Amrita Sundari said, we're all in this together. And we're not going to go to Krishna by jumping over the heads of the devotees in the Salt Lake City temple specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Pavana, do you have any, Pavana Radha, you have any final comments here? Or anybody? Before we go to one of Govinda Dev's wonderful, super excellent, amazing, mind-blowing, incredible kirtans.
I like to go on for a second and to say that we have all been talking about this principle, and Sundari said that she is the true acharya among us, because rather than continue to talk about it, she actually did exactly what we've been talking about by the favorable qualities of pretty much everyone, all, maybe not everyone. So
yeah, Mataji is such an inspiration and such a great source of strength. Always there, always serving Krishna and devotees and Guru. Such a perfect example of all the philosophical things that we discuss.
And she's always in real estate. Because she's real estate agent. She's always real.
And all glory to Caru Prabhu for being somebody completely like a gone case.
Anything else? Anybody else have some? Kapil, Pavan, Radhesham, anything?
One small comment about, again, this is all coming from His Holiness Radharani Maharaj lecture this morning. And he said, when when Lord embraces somebody, that is for 2 seconds, doesn't mean that he just embracing to give you Ashirwad. In fact, he's saying, hey, I am surrendered to you. Actually, I'm yours. I'm here to serve you, and that is what Krishna is there actually. So when we try to reach out to him, he actually comes to us and say, hey, I'm here to, I'm surrendering. You're surrendering to me. No, I'm surrendering to you, and I'm here to serve you. And as long as we trust that, we believe that, I think we're going to make progress.
Jai Ho.
Haribo.
Hari Hari Bo. Anything else?
Go ahead.
Regarding, so in the commentary, Prabhupada is giving again the Kirata, Kuna, and Andhra, so all this low class and even lower. I remember when I started reading Prabhupada's books, and he was always encouraging, no matter who you are, you can always be Krishna conscious. So it was always inspiring. And yeah, it's especially when I read the teaching of Lord Chaitanya. Prabhupada summarized Chaitanya Charitamrita in one book. That was amazing. I couldn't stop, and he was always encouraging. He would always chant Hare Krishna or study philosophy of Krishna consciousness, and you can be Bhakti with it. It's so encouraging because before we read like so many different philosophies or the university, and nothing is encouraging, all just dry and insufficient, nothing, nowhere. And Srila Prabhupada is bringing us to the highest platform of Satchitananda.
You won't find anywhere in yoga philosophies or in mental speculation or anything to do with austerities. You won't find anything about relationships. Horizontal relationships with each other, vertical relations. All the other processes take you away. They take you away from relationships. The only practice which emphasizes relationships as something not to be avoided or dismissed, but relationships as central, as core, as the purpose of our life is Lord Chaitanya, the Goswamins, Bhaktivinoda, Srila Prabhupada. They're only ones that tell you the perfection of human life is relationships. And it's so obvious once you see it, because everything that's meaningful in our life and everything that's painful is about relationships. So the secret is not to throw relationships overboard, but just eliminate those practices which result in relationships being painful, and practice those practices that make the relationship sweet, which is devotional service in this life, and then continuing on in the next life back to home, back to Godhead.
Yes. Hari Hari.
Haribol. You don't want to chant the names of the Supreme, Govinda Dev?
Yeah, do that. This facility, and I would just like to say first that I think this Zoom meeting has been amazing. I mean, it's been a very sweet, very uplifting part of my day, of my week. Very nice to have everyone's association.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Radha Govinda, Radha Govinda Radhe, Jaya Radha Govinda, Radha Govinda Radhe, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada.
Sri Krishna Sankirtan ki jai. Govinda Dev ki jai.
Jai.
Pavana Radhe Sham ki jai.
Hey.
Asvilas Amrita Sundari ki jai.
Jai.
Vanita Kapilji ki jai.
Jai.
Sundari Priya Sai Mataji ki jai.
And say loudly, His Grace Charu Prabhu ki.
Jai.
And we've also
Oh.
we've also got on our Facebook feed Prapana Brat Gopal, who says Hare Krishna, Jagadambika from Los Angeles, Bhakta Caprice, who made a couple of beautiful comments during the course of it, Rakesh, who couldn't join the Zoom call but was with us on Facebook, and also Radhe Sham has expanded himself. He's on the Zoom call and he's also on Facebook. So there's two of them.
Ow.
And we also had six to seven people on Facebook the whole time, and apparently people really enjoyed the discussion, as I certainly did, and you all made wonderful contributions. So thank you.
At least one of us among us is getting Krishna's qualities, you know.
Radhesham Prabhu.
Prabhu was making sure. He was making sure that we are telecasting what we are recording.
So we are very excited. This Friday, we are going to dress Radha Govinda in their Ras outfit. Please come to the temple. Sai Mataji has been working hard like anything to make this dress happen. So please do come on Friday.
Haribo.
Haribol.
I always tell Amrita, don't say like anything, because that may be misunderstood. Anything, you know, she's not working like anything. You know, Mataji should work hard more.
No, oh my God, she's been on it. She's been dreaming about it, thinking about it, and working on it 24 hours a day.
So Friday and Saturday, right? The deities will be
Yeah,
dressed on
Saturday you
Friday
can
and
have the
then Saturday.
darshan. Yeah, Purnima is on Friday night, so we'll dress them on Friday night.
Friday feast, Saturday feast, and Sunday they will be grand feast. All Spanish devotees are welcome to come.
We'll see how the weather is. If the weather's good, we'll be there.
It's good. It's good.
I think it's going to be good. Yeah. Good.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Kalpatarubhyascha,
Vajrakalpatarubhyascha, Kripasindu.
No,
Namaha.